What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching Star Wars edition of the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where we talk about all things matter to me in the world of Star Wars films. This is episode number 29, and I hope you guys got your tickets for Star Wars Rogue One. I got mine. Oh man, it was quite an ordeal because the website kept on not working. It was totally acting up, just like it did last year in Star Wars The Force Awakens. When I was trying to get the tickets for The Force Awakens, it was pretty bad. And this time, it was bad. It wasn't as bad as last year, but it was still pretty bad because the website was just not working the way it should be. The wait time was not as bad as last year, but still, it was pretty stressful. But anyways, I got my tickets, IMAX 3D, the very first showing at 7:30 on Thursday. And I'm excited. I'm really pumped. And anyways, we got to talk about what's coming up next for the rest of the Star Wars universe. Well, let's talk a little bit about casting. I'm sure you guys already know by now that Donald Glover is going to be playing Lando Calrissian in the Han Solo film or spin-off film. I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe they're going to call it Han Solo, a Star Wars story. Or maybe I guess Smuggler, a Star Wars story, or Scoundrel. Anyways, maybe it's just called Han Solo, the Star Wars story. But Donald Glover, an actor who I've totally been rooting for, is going to be playing Lando Calrissian, and I'm so excited. I think that was perfect casting choice, and he's the right guy to play it. And I think that Billy D. Williams is going to be really happy to see what a talented actor like Donald Glover can do for the character that he made so famous. Also, regarding casting with the Han Solo spin-off film, Emilia Clarke actually was recently cast over Tessa Thompson, Zoe Kravitz, and Naomi Scott. Those were the three actresses that were going to take the female lead role, or rather, one of those three was going to take the lead female role, but it ended up being Emilia Clarke, and she wasn't even one of the actors that was originally considered. It was Tessa Thompson, Zoe Kravitz, and Naomi Scott, and I actually had my money on Tessa Thompson because she's a very talented actress. Emilia Clarke, she's good in Game of Thrones, but she was terrible as Sarah Connor in Terminator Genesis. And if she's going to act anything like that, that's going to be pretty distracting. She did a pretty bad job in Terminator Genesis, but Emilia Clarke will be playing the female lead role in the Han Solo spin-off film, so that is happening. Now, Kathleen Kennedy did an interview, and she says that the Han Solo Star Wars film is actually going to be a little bit different. It's not going to play out like a lot of the other films that we've seen, which consist of big battles. Star Wars Rogue One's going to have a big battle. All the other Star Wars films, they have big battles. He said it's going to play out more like a Western and a heist film. And that actually makes more sense because this film, the Han Solo spin-off film, is actually focused on a specific character. It's focused on Han Solo. Maybe it's going to be, maybe Chewbacca's going to be in there. I hope he is. And Lando Calrissian's going to be in there. But it's about it's about like a scoundrel, like Han Solo. And Han Solo isn't, like, he's no angel. He's not somebody who's a hero or anything. He is somebody who's a gambler. He's he likes to smuggle things, and essentially he's looking out for himself, and he always did. If you remember his character back in Episode 4, A New Hope, he was looking out for himself, only thinking about himself. He was selfish. He really didn't care about rescuing the princess unless money was involved. So that's all in his character. And with it being a space western film, I think that is pretty cool because his character is kind of like the gunslinger, like the lone gunslinger with his sidekick, and I think that works with it being a western heist film. After all, he is going to be probably all about that money, so he's going to be looking out for galactic credits and finding a way, and his mission or the story will be about him getting riches or something like that. But anyways, it sounds pretty cool. Let's talk about Rogue One. After all, the excitement's all about Rogue One right now. Kathleen Kennedy also mentioned that Star Wars Rogue One is not going to come with an opening crawl. I'm kind of disappointed about that. All 7 of the Star Wars films in the saga, and by saga I mean episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and even 8 and 9, will have opening crawls. And I think that's a Star Wars tradition. Now they're going to break that. And they're breaking that with these spin-off films, these Star Wars story films. And that really bugs me. I know I'm going to have to accept it, but I'm not going to be used to that. I mean, I eventually will after I've seen maybe 3 or 4 of these Star Wars spin-off films, but I wish they would just stick to tradition. I understand why they want to do that, but why can't you just keep it? I don't know. I wish they would. I'm just expressing my feelings about how I feel about the lack of an opening crawl. Now, she also mentioned that in the same interview that it's possible that after episode 9, they're going to focus on nothing but spin-off films. And I think that's also a little bit disappointing to me. I love the idea of the Star Wars spin-off films. I really do. There's a lot of stories that are out there that can be told. For example, of course, the Han Solo story, the Boba Fett origin story, the Rogue One story. Of course, there's lots of stories out there to tell. But I still want to continue the Skywalker story. The Skywalker story continues with episode 7, 8, 9. And they can continue it with 10, 11, 12. They can continue it in a sense where they, like on the events of episode 10, it could be like it takes place 30 years later. And we can introduce a whole new set of characters. After all, with every trilogy, it's new characters. Maybe not 100% new characters, but at least the characters are played by different actors. You know what I'm saying? Like younger versions or older versions of the same character. So I would love to see that. I would love to see episode 10, 11, 12 and keep on going for as long as they can. But according to Kathleen Kennedy, she says that they might just stick with Star Wars spin-off films. Now, that, of course, depends on box office. After all, it's a big business. Disney didn't invest $4 billion into Lucasfilm if it weren't about the money. So it really depends on how much money that episode 8 and 9 do versus what the spin-off films do. If they find that episode 9 makes another $2 billion worldwide, they're definitely going to continue that. But if Rogue One also ends up making over $1 billion, which I'm sure it will, maybe 1.5, but definitely not 2, if it ends up making that kind of money, then I think they're going to skip the saga. They're going to skip episode 10, 11, 12. But anyways, that's what's going on. Anyways, let's do a box office prediction, because the box office analysts predict that Star Wars Rogue One is going to make $130 million, around that. Now, they also said, another source also predicts that it could make $150 million and maybe a little bit more than that, like $150, $160 million. Now, let's go backtrack to where they said that it's going to make $130 million, or around that. I'm just thinking, that's it? Are you serious? That's insane. Star Wars The Force Awakens made $248 million on opening weekend rather, on Thursday night preview, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it made $248 million domestically. I don't see why Rogue One can't make in the high $100 million range. Like I'm talking about just under $200 million. I don't see why I can't do that. It should be able to. After all the fans that watch Star Wars The Force Awakens, minus a couple of fans that didn't like it, will end up watching Star Wars Rogue One. After all, we did see these movie websites that sell movie tickets crash. I mean, they were frozen. There's a reason why this is happening, and that is because there's a high demand to watch these movies on the opening weekend. So I'm thinking that 130 million is too low. 150 million, that's also too low. I'm thinking $180 million. Some people might think I'm crazy, but still, we're talking about a Star Wars film here. And to top things off, I think that people actually, the hardcore fans, want to see this story more than they wanted to see Episode 7. Episode 7 was a brand new story. The story of Star Wars Rogue One had always existed. Okay, it always existed, even before the prequels. And this is the prequel that the fans have been waiting for. So I think that this is going to be a great film, and this film actually deserves a lot more money. So I'm going with that, and I'm just a little bit shocked and surprised that box office analysts would actually predict such a low number like $130 million on opening weekend. But anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. I'm happy about Donald Glover being Lando Calrissian. I'm really skeptical about Emilia Clarke. I'm disappointed about a lack of an opening crawl on these Star Wars spin-off films and Rogue One, and you know, I'm just a little bit I just feel weird that box office analysts predict that it's going to make $130 to $150 million. It should make a lot more, but anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm excited about Star Wars Rogue One. I got my tickets, and I can't wait to watch it on Thursday, 7:30, IMAX 3D. Can't wait. That's all I gotta say in this episode. What do you guys think about anything that I've talked about? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name's Alex. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace. You don't want Marion Cotillard's character to actually be a spy, and then you never know till the very end. Of course, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'll tell you that